Welcome back to a ghostly encounter live. Ghost stories with the ghost guides. This is what, number 11? Something like that.
I don't know.
Well, we have a lot going on today. We're going to read a lot. There's a lot. We're not going to read it. We're going to tell you a lot. Well, we are going to read it technically.
Right. Okay,
Anyway,
move on. Anyway.
So move on with it. Let it go. I am Renee, as you all know, and this is
Dusty.
Oh, I went the wrong way. I need to smack that way. I forgot. Dusty! Now, we are going to be talking about a couple of different haunted happenings. And I know that last week... Hi, Roger. Last week, if you missed it, our episodes, we did... nope, I can't make words. What is wrong with me tonight? Already? This is going to be a rough night. Last stream that we did, we talked about... Tell them, Dusty. What did we talk about?
You know what? It's right here. We talked about...
people know.
The Amityville. It was the Amityville horror is what I talked about.
The Black Doll. And then we talked about the Apopanox tree. So if you missed that episode, you can go back on our Facebook and watch that. Well, not now, after the stream, preferably. Please be sure to share this video so that your friends know we're live, and like us on our Facebook so that you know when we're going live. If you didn't know, we go live every Tuesday and Friday at 8 p.m. Hence is why we're live right now. I'm going to get into the haunted happenings because I have quite a few that I'm going to read tonight. Ephraim B, again, sent us something really cool. He actually sent this about 2 weeks ago, and I've been saving it. Just keeping you guys on the edges of your seats. Edges of your seats? Yeah, edges of your seats. Anyway, so Ephraim wrote kind of a story that's based on true events. It's called The Man of the Pond. And it said, the nights go by with many on the ghostly adventure at the city's visitor center where people meet. Along the center are two large enclosed retention ponds. The ponds are abundant with ducks and birds who perch themselves upon the branches. The funny thing that there is no life underwater, as it only holds rainwater runoff. Construction has started on a new hotel that will take up about 2 blocks of land. The former establishments have been torn down to make room for this massive project. It was 3 a.m. when a young couple decided to venture out on their own. You see, they say this is when the spirit
was it Ephraim, because he likes to be awake at that time.
Yes, Ephraim loves being awake at 3 in the morning. John and Tammy are alone in the dark with an EMF meter, an electromagnetic frequency, or force reader, whichever you want to call it, in each hand to set out to find those in the afterlife. While passing the retention pond, Tammy catches something between the trees across the pond. She yanks John's shirt while staring at the figure, and she says, "John?" While looking down at his EMF, he turns to her and says, "What is it?" She says, "Look," as she points in the direction of the figure between the trees. "Do you see it?" With a chuckle, John replies, "See what?" "The man over there." Oh, that's the girl. "The man over there between the trees along the pond." There is a tall man whose head is slightly tilted back with his eyes rolled into his head, so kind of like this. And his arms straight down on his sides. He is dirty, with a black, muddy substance all over him. His mouth is open with a trickle of water coming from it and dripping down his cheek. Gross. John struggles to look and see if he can see what she's talking about. He says, "Sorry, babe, I just don't see anything. I think you're letting this ghost thing get to you." As Tammy looks down between the trees, the figure is now gone. "Yeah, I guess you're right," she says as they walk away into the streets of the town. We're going to go down a little bit. So this is just an excerpt from the story he sent. It's a pretty lengthy, it's a short story. And it's very interesting. So maybe we can get permission from Ephraim to do like a reading that we can post on our page sometime of the whole thing. But eventually
only if you read it like that the whole time.
Yes. The next night was John and Tammy's last night in town. They parked their car and headed through the visitor center again, this time earlier in the evening. A city worker emptying the trash can notices the two. "Hello," he says to the couple as the two are turning on their EMF meters for another search. "Ghost hunting, are ya?" The city worker asks. "Yes," he with a smile and a chuckle, John replied. "Yeah, this is a place full of spirits." "Do you believe in that stuff? Ghosts, that is?" Tammy asks the worker. Oh, I'm messing up all the voices. Sure, from time to time I see a man along the pond, right over there between the trees. This is when Tammy cringes and her eyes grow wide in horror. What's wrong? Asks the worker. John replies, laughing. She tried to show me that man last night, but I never saw him. The worker says, oh, he's there all right. Most times early in the morning when I'm done here, I see him. Don't know why he's here, though. Tammy clings close to John and whispers, I told you. Thank you for confirming what I saw. Have a good night, sir. Tammy stares towards the trees along the pond as they walk away. So eventually the story ends like this. This freaks me out. The hustle and bustle of tourism, of daily tourism, was underway as usual. Buses came and went, and the ponds began to show their nasty black bottoms as they dried up. There was a strange sight in the middle of the pond with the tree line. In the middle lie a jacket, blackened from mud. Just about a quarter of the jacket was exposed, and strangest of all, footsteps leading inward toward the pond. Could this be the man at the pond? Or the man at the pond? Pretty interesting, pretty cool. Yeah, maybe. That's possible. So our next haunted happening comes from Christina C. She says, I have haunted experiences all the time. It started when I was much younger. A lot of people don't believe what I've seen, but how can I see people who have died when I never even knew them? I can describe them, and at first what they say just confuses me until someone who knows them tells me what they mean. The weirdest one was when I saw an orangish red glowing ball floating from a baby crib out the door through the kitchen, and then the back door opened on its own, and the reddish ball went out, and then the door slammed shut. I sat there in complete silence on the sofa. When I told my friend what happened, she said, oh, yeah, that happens all the time. My 2 kids died in a fire, and they always come to see their baby brother. Then the candle flew off the wall into my lap, and she said, he, they like you. They only show themselves to people they like.
So nonchalant. It's fine. It happens all the time.
Yeah, she's like, whatever. Yeah, I'd be freaked out. I'd be like, that was just a ball of energy.
Things on fire seem to be like the theme of the night, I think. You'll see. I mean,
I agree. Yeah. What's up with fire, man? That's
everything
true.
Just catches on fire.
I guess so.
Then ghosts happen, I guess.
Sure. The next one comes from Melita D, and she says, I've had a few ghostly experiences and ghostly hauntings. The one I want to talk about happened in November of 2002. My husband and I stayed at the Florida Inn in Fernandina Beach for our anniversary. It is the oldest hotel in Florida, I think. Anyway, we went to bed and my husband was asleep. I awoke to listening to the band playing downstairs in the bar. It was around 10 a.m. and I heard a noise close to me. I looked towards the bathroom and I saw a man standing there about 6'4", just looking, just watching. All I could see clearly was a black shape of a man wearing one of those period tall looking hats. Scared me to death. I turned away and he knelt down and whispered his name, Wilson, into my ear.
Wilson.
The next day, we were telling the owner who said that they had a guest in early years who stayed there by the name of Wilson Grant, and the others had reported the same sighting. I still hear his voice and get goosebumps to this day. She just lays in bed and she hears, Wilson!
And then she said, that was weird. And then goes to sleep, like, right? Or does she?
Wilson Grant. Or does she
run out the door?
I'd be running out that door.
So do you think it was a top hat? A really tall...
Well, it's either a top hat or a 10-gallon hat, and both are kind of funny, but...
A 10-gallon hat. Like a cowboy?
Like, yeah.
Is that what cowboys sound like? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Hi, Georgia. Hi, Lisa. Our next one, hi, Matt. Our next one is actually coming from the Pentagon. The Pentagon released this last night. It was on local news here in St. Augustine. I know Jim and I were talking about it. They released footage from 2015, 2004, just a bunch of different years. There's 3 videos that were originally leaked to the public, and so that was their purpose of releasing them officially, is to be like, hey, we're looking into this. We know it's fishy. We don't know what it is. We're looking into it, and it's of actual UAPs and UFOs. This is from the government. Take a look at this video, and more importantly, listen to what they are saying. It's a little loud, so bear with us. Oh. Nope, Jim, you can't hear it. Let's try that again.
I will say that I'm sure the government's just like, oh yeah, we'll look into this, just so it gets it off everybody's mind.
I mean, maybe. Remember when I said last time.
Or they make fun of it. Oh God, aliens.
What? It's not real. It
We
never
don't have aliens.
It never happened.
I don't have a gun. Yeah, I mean, be careful what you show, because next thing that happens, the men in black are gonna show up on your doorstep.
Dude, wrong, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
Wow.
Cool thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's a look at that thing. It's rotating.
I just like the one pilot. He's like, "Look at that thing," and the other guy's like, "Yep,
No, look.
Yep." He's like, "Shut up! We're gonna get visited by the men in black.
Men in black. They're gonna be at our doorstep."
That guy's like, "Look, it's impossible. It's a UFO," and he's like, "Shut up, Rick."
It's like
Richard.
you and me. Look at it. No.
Anyway, you can look at the other videos online. We should be coming back to doing ghost tours soon. I was talking to Diane Lane, and she said that our expected date for starting tours again, our owner, yes, is going to be around May 8th, but we'll be posting something more official coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Dusty, any final words on our haunted happenings?
No.
Great. Tell the good people what our first story of the night is.
Well, we're going to be doing some haunted highways. Not really. They're not really highways, but they are roads. I have picked out 3 roads that I thought are really cool and super haunted. Yeah. And one of them, it has a little bit of relevance to last stream. We'll get there. But yeah, so I have 3 of them here. And the first one is actually Riverdale Road. And it's one of the most haunted byways in the country. And it's kind of between Brighton and Thornton, Colorado. Colorado here. Yeah. It's an 11-mile stretch of road. So it's kind of long, and it has so many different legends that go with it. Like, this is one haunted road. If you ever want to go for a nice little stroll at night.
In Colorado.
Yeah. Yes. I guess you could too, yeah. But there's supposedly literal gates to hell, so talk about our highways to hell. There's supposedly gates to hell, but they're just gates. They're made of rusty iron, iron gates, and it led.
They're real gates?
Yeah, well, they were.
Wow.
I don't think they're standing anymore, but it was gates to a mansion. And it was a man and his family. A man and his family. Who lived in that mansion, and he made the gates, and apparently he lost his mind, when they were finished, and he ended up burning his entire mansion down with his family asleep inside, his wife and kids asleep inside. He just burned the whole mansion down, and he was never caught or tried. So he's possibly stood out there. I don't actually know. Nobody knows what happened. If
you're in Colorado.
Oh well. Yeah, but supposedly also with the whole gates to hell thing, there's a bunch of structures left behind, like old chicken coops and empty buildings with graffiti, fresh graffiti all the time, and supposedly headless animals sometimes. And one of these structures is a chicken coop that he had at the mansion.
So they have proof that the mansion was there because of this chicken coop. There's proof of it. Okay.
Yeah, there's like I don't know, it says an underground chicken coop.
Whatever floats your boat, underground, above ground, whatever.
Whatever makes the chickens happy. Maybe it's like a chicken coop with a basement. I don't know.
Yeah,
but there's a chicken coop.
Chicken mansion.
Okay, anyway, yeah, so there's a chicken coop with mysterious markings on the wall. Some people think it's like blood of sacrificial victims, I guess, because supposedly this guy, the mansion guy, would conjure spirits and demons. So we have another George Lutz here on our hands, right?
George.
And I guess if you wanted to If you wanted some,
Sacrificial McNuggets.
if you want some gates to hell, just conjure up some demons and spirits. But yeah, so people claim to hear footsteps, things that is scuffling around in the dark, scuffling and moving around. No, but nobody's there, and somebody the thing claims that somebody will come up behind them and like are breathing over their shoulder.
6 feet.
So yeah, they hear social distancing ghost, right? Well, anyway, yeah, so there's somebody breathing over their shoulder. Now, people also have claimed to have been followed home.
Oh no.
By something. Yeah, so they do think that it's demonic, so that there is demonic activity on this road. We're off to a good start. We're off to a good start here.
Deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs. But yeah, so we're off to a good start. We have demons already.
Perfect.
But yeah, so
everybody loves a good demon.
Nobody likes a good demon. But yeah, so another thing kind of associated with the mansion guy is a lady in white is said to be seen wandering around the road, kind of where the gates are. Now, the gates are also supposedly really hard to find. You know, there's still certain people find it, some people don't. They're selective gates to hell, I guess. Maybe it's a sign, you know.
I was going to say, maybe they only pop up for those that are able to go through the portal or something like that.
I don't know if I would want to go through that.
Think about. No, me either. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Yeah. You know what? Let's do. You know what we're gonna do today? Go through the gates of hell. Anyway,
that's not on my to-do list.
No, but this lady in white is thought to be his wife, and kind of wandering around like she's searching the street for her kids, or maybe her husband, maybe to get revenge, or maybe she's just lost and wandering. You know, she probably doesn't know she's dead if she was burned asleep. You know, she was sleeping, but she appears on the road just kind of wandering, and then when people, you know, as they're driving down, they look in their rearview mirror, she's gone, she's disappeared. Some people say they see a lady in white hitchhiking, and when they stop to open the door for her, she's gone also. People also hear a lot of muffled screams. There's an EVP video. Ooh. Jim, if you go up, there's an EVP video from the Other Side Paranormal Society, I think is who it is, that caught like a woman in the distance.
And for those that don't know, an EVP is electromagnetic.
Nope.
No, it's not.
Electronic voice phenomena.
Go ahead, you tell them. Thank you.
Here it is.
Is anybody here? Just these ghosts. Whoa.
Ooh.
Did you see that? No.
Okay, so
that also sounds like you and me. Did weird. You see that? No.
What was weird is there was like a weird orb flickering at the camera too.
I don't know if that was like a light or if it was anything. But
I don't know. It was weird for sure.
People do claim to hear like muffled screams or like a woman off in the distance. And it's said to be that woman as well, the one that he burned alive, the lady in white. But yeah, so we got demonic activity and a woman in white. We also have the ghost of a jogger. You know, some. Why is that funny?
Because can you imagine like me just like dying and I'm like summoned to like jog for the rest of my life? I would be very upset. That truly is hell.
I mean, I feel like this guy chose to jog along this road. Jogging? Yeah, you know, like some people like that, I guess. You know,
it's a personal jogging choice.
Yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice. This guy was jogging along the road and got hit by a car, and now he's just forever jogging. Now.
That is wild, Georgia. I agree. Nobody wants to do that. Also, hi Jimmy. Thanks for watching. Continue on with your haunted jogger. Go ahead.
Haunted jogger. Yeah. So just a guy, you know, got hit by a car. Apparently, there's been a lot of fatal crashes and things throughout the years. This road is said to have a lot of quick turns and blind corners. But yeah, so people that walk along the road apparently hear, like a really loud heartbeat and even footsteps that are
from the jogger.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if yeah, so anyway,
jogger.
I was going to say, I feel like that's kind of how I am when I jog. Heartbeat.
What if it's just like a real jogger? He gets up to your car, he's tapping on the window like, I changed my mind, let me in. I don't want to jog anymore.
Well, Renee, spoiler alert, I haven't mentioned that part yet, but yeah, so people that are driving down the road will hear like tapping or something hitting the side of their car, like somebody's like banging on the car, and so when they get out to look to see what that was that was hitting their car, there's nobody there, so they think it's the ghost jogger. Renee.
The ghost jogger. No, it's the ghost jogger. That's funny. I mean, I'm sure
I hope he finds you. I hope he finds you.
I'd probably be very scared if it happened, but
you would be very afraid. Yeah. Okay, so here it gets better. We have more, but this one, there are a lot of cottonwood trees along the road. And not all over the road. There's a lot of like open space, but then every now and then you'll have cottonwood trees. I almost said cotton-eyed tree.
Bring back
cottonwood
the 90s.
Trees. Yeah. And supposedly back, when slaves were owned, they were abused and they would hang them from the trees. So people you get weird feelings, but if they hear creaking around the trees, kind of like the sound of ropes creaking. But also supposedly on the full moon, you can actually see bodies, of the slaves hanging from the trees.
That's sad. That's messed up and that's sad.
I say you make fun of a ghost jogger, but I don't think I would want to come across hanging bodies from trees.
I was going to say hanging bodies, definitely. And I would crash my car. I would become a spirit, y'all. Absolutely. And especially, that's just messed up. Absolutely not. Continue.
Well, now we move on to the spirit of a young boy who's supposedly on Riverdale Road. A kid maybe walking to school, got hit by a car also. And at night, he wanders up and down the road and he smears his bloody hands all over all the road signs that he comes across.
Rude.
So that we have bloody handprints everywhere. They're always gone by morning though, so you'll see them at night, but by the morning they're gone. So maybe there's a ghost that walks by and cleans it up behind him.
That's the jogger.
Leaving all this blood around here.
Darn kids. Anyway.
Yeah. Now, like I did say, there was a lot of blind corners. I mean, there still is. There's a lot of blind corners and dangerous turns, especially for people who like to challenge the speed limit. And this is another interesting one. Apparently in the 70s, there was a driver who was a bit heavy on the gas pedal, crashed his car, died, like all the other ones. But he had a pretty deadly crash. And apparently drivers during daytime and nighttime, drivers will experience a phantom Camaro that pulls up behind them. And it only has one headlight. Yeah, right? It was the 70s. But there's a phantom Camaro with one working headlight, pull up behind them. And maybe they think challenging them to a race, which given this Camaro's history, I don't think I would do.
It's a demon Camaro named Christine.
It's Christine.
That's strange. So now, all right.
We also have hey Diane. We also have the land that the road cuts through.
Ooh, girl,
not even through is known to apparently. Sorry.
No.
Did you hear what I said? Cool. Okay, the land that the road cuts through, yes, apparently is known to have Native American shapeshifters roaming around it. And sometimes they also do appear on the road itself. So we have Native American shapeshifters. Yeah, now the Denver Ghost Hunters did an investigation, and the co-founder, Stephanie Smith, she says that she got a weird feeling in one part of the road, only one part of the road. She didn't feel like she was alone. Someone was there with her. and she started to feel really nervous and saw out in the distance the shape of a man in, cowboy boots, and he was walking towards her. And she kind of ran to the other side of the road, and it was gone. They did catch photos of some orbs that were kind of following them. Jim, if you can pull up that photo, there is a photo from them. They did catch some orbs. They're pretty bright too. But she said that she only felt this way on the west side of the road, not on the other side. So she kind of brought people along afterwards for a while afterwards, just to see if they felt the same thing. And people did say that, especially women. There they are.
Nice.
The picture here. Yeah.
That's a nice orb.
I like that orb.
It's a good looking orb.
It's a nice orb, yeah. There's a couple there, actually. There's two.
Oh, there is, yeah. I'm looking in on my bigger screen, too. Yeah, it's a good looking orb. Anyway.
Yeah.
How many times can we say
nice
that?
Circle.
What a nice orb.
Yeah, but yeah, so they did catch some of those photos. But she did bring people around afterwards, like new friends and just people, to see if they felt the same thing. And they did, especially women. Women always said, they kind of felt like somebody was going to get them.
Ooh. Why is it always women, y'all? What's up with that?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I have no answer for that. Yeah, so that's my bit there on the Riverdale Road. We got ghost joggers, ghost Camaros, ghost children with bloody handprints, orbs, cowboy boots, I don't know, gates to hell, demons,
cowboy boots,
ladies in white. We got a lot here. The next road that I want to do, I'm going to move on. This one is outside of Rosendale, Wisconsin, and it is Callan Road, also known as, sorry, it was a bug, also known as Witch Road. This one's a little bit shorter, so I'm not going to take up so much time. This one's a little bit shorter. Witch Road. Yeah. So it just looks haunted. That's a picture there that I found. It just looks creepy. It's one of those where even if it's not haunted, you're like, I'm not going that way. Like in Scooby-Doo, where I guess.
There's
I don't
a lot
know,
of haunted. I mean, there's a road in New Jersey called Clinton Road that looks similar to. I mean, it's just it feels wrong. The energy's off. The mojo's not right.
Yeah. Well, supposedly around 60 years ago, a witch lived on the road, and after her death, it's just been, haunted and creepy and eerie, and weird things happen. The witch's house is actually still there. It's just in complete disrepair. It's, falling apart.
Wow.
That's it right there that Jim has. Yeah, that photo there. So that's the witch's house.
Very Blair Witchy.
I guess I can see why she's angry. Yeah.
She needs Joanne Gaines to step in. Flip that house.
Cool. All right. Anyway.
Cool.
Yep. Anyway, apparently at night, certain parts of the road are unusually dark and cold. I didn't see any street lights, so maybe that's why. But dark and cold,
maybe,
which is like common ghostly ghostness.
Yeah.
After dark, there's the sound of trickling water near the road, though there's no stream nearby. There's no brook or stream or anything nearby, so it's just a random phantom water dripping sound. But yeah, people see flashing lights at the end of the road, and also white lights up in the trees. There's like random white lights that float around.
Maybe it's orbs.
Maybe, possibly.
Yeah, they're probably seeing orbs.
Mm-hmm. There's apparently also a tree somewhere on the side of the road that looks like an ugly witch. Okay, I don't know if it was an ugly witch. It just said that resembles a witch, but I'm assuming you're not gonna go, that's a sexy tree, like that.
It's a good looking witch.
That's a nice tree.
Pull over, honey. Let me take a look at this tree.
All right. Anyway. That's a good looking tree. Yeah. So I just said an ugly witch because I'm sure the tree is not good looking, But anyway, so there's also a ghost of a little girl that's been seen hiding in the woods, and she likes to peek out from around trees. Yeah, so there's a little girl in the woods, and people hear unexplained voices all the time in the woods around the area too, voices, and so yeah. Now I did read somewhere really briefly that there was a woman named Grace Thorndike that lived. She was born in 1894, and she lived there alone right off Callan Road there, and that she died in 1971 of just sickness, a long sickness. And some people believe that maybe she was the witch. No one really knows. But
Okay.
And she had a niece. Her niece Isla May. Yeah, she was born in 1915, and after 1920, there's no mention of her again. Her family doesn't mention her. There's no records of her dying, but they don't mention her at all.
They don't know what happened to her. Okay.
So yeah, so they think that maybe she's a little girl, but that was something really brief that I saw. But that is just a cool little road there.
Which road?
Which road? Yeah, and which road? Callan Road.
Okay. I'm with it. I don't like children popping out the trees and stuff, but I'm with it.
We've already discussed that anything childlike with hauntings is
messed up.
No, it's not. It's a no.
Creepy.
No thanks. Honey Bunch is a nope,
Big nope from me.
Now, one more story that I have. This one is, I specifically picked it because of what we talked about last
with Amityville.
Yeah, with Amityville. Thank you. The last stream that we did, and it's about Pigman. Pigman. You probably can't read my notes, but it says Pigman.
Like Mothman's little cousin, but a pig.
Well, say, wouldn't Pigman be bigger than the Mothman? Mothman's little cousin? I don't know.
I guess.
I don't know. But there is a small town, Angola, right? Angola, New York.
Angola, New
York. Yeah, and there's a really strange legend, Pigman, and Holland Road, which is also known colloquially as Pigman Road, right? By the locals, they call it Pigman Road, and it's been the scene of a lot of strange events. So there's a little bit of backstory here. I'm gonna read. There's a couple of different like origin stories that we get here. But in 1940, there was a legend of a crazed serial killer lurking around Angola, but he kind of stayed in the shadows, keeping his distance from the rest of the town. Maybe he wasn't that good looking either. I don't know.
Him and the witch should hang out.
A little off,
He's gonna go find that tree.
Just have little witchy pig babies, pig witches. Pig witches. Never mind. Anyway, but yeah, so he was believed to be a butcher, and he had these like sharp, shiny cleavers that he used to chop up the bodies of the animals with. Just picture him like polishing and shining his big cleavers, his big meat cleavers.
Like Sweeney Todd, my friends, my special friends. No, all right, go watch Sweetie Todd. Anyway,
I've seen Sweetie Todd. I was just gonna see how that went,
Oh, nice.
Friend. Yeah. Anyway, so he would also use pig heads. Get this, pig heads as lawn ornaments to keep the locals. Keep the locals away from his home. Just kind of stuck them on spikes, Walking Dead style. Sorry if you aren't that far in Walking Dead. And that's how he got his name, the Pigman.
Yeah, I can imagine.
This guy seems a little pig-headed to me. I don't know about. Anyway,
throw her out.
So the children, the local children, they'd constantly make fun of him. They'd pick on him. They would pull pranks, and they would egg his house. They'd always be like trespassing on his land,
That's mean.
telling mean stories, mean things about him, spreading rumors, all that teenage stuff. Well, one night, 3 teenage boys decided to mess with Pigman, and and they were gonna go and take his pig heads off of his lawn. So,
all right,
yeah, they're sneaking up there. The Pigman catches them, and this guy is done with their tomfoolery, with his hooligans. He's done with them, and he snaps from all the years of torture and abuse from these people, and he decides to make a bold statement, kind of a this is what happens if you mess with me again. Now what he does is, they took his pig heads, so he took their heads. And he put their heads on the spikes, on the pikes outside of his house as his new lawn ornaments. Forget That's the nice. Lawn gnomes and flamingos. You're gonna
shrunken heads.
I don't know if he shrunk them, but yeah. So he
big heads
to make it. Yeah. So tortures and decapitates the boys, takes their heads. Now after this, he kind of it haunts him, I guess, no pun intended. I mean, also especially if every day he's outside looking at these children's heads that are just sitting there, and he can't live with the shame anymore. Yeah, he can't live with the shame. that he's brought to his family and himself. So he ends up killing his wife and his 2 small children before killing himself and then lighting his house on fire.
Great. More fire. Why always fire? Like,
hold on, I had to fix that. Before he killed his family, then lit his house on fire, and then killed himself.
Oh, yes. He didn't kill himself and then come back and let that. I see. Right.
Just post-mortem, yeah. Yes. Post-mortem lit the house on fire. Anyway, yeah, so killed, yeah, but there we go again with the fire. People keep lighting their houses on fire. Trend. I don't know. Yep. But yeah, so there's, you know, a whole bunch of stuff that comes from this. People say, you know, if you call for the Pigman 3 times that he may appear. I don't know. I mean, it's just like a folklore thing.
Yeah.
You know, Candyman, Bloody Mary, all that. But Joe, who is a police dispatcher, that apparently asked for his identity to be concealed, so we're calling him Joe, claimed that old Joe, yeah, claimed that strange things happened on that road and that he believed there was a Pigman. And he didn't know if Pigman was a ghost or a demon, but he was sure it was real. And we're talking like after death, you know, after Pigman is already gone, like that he thinks Pigman it's still there. You know, there's something weird that happens around that road. And, you know, they see things like seeing a teenage boy in the woods, a man standing around the woods area with like a pig head, a pig on his head, you know, pig head, hearing pig noises, like pig, like grunting noises and squealing.
Like that?
Yeah, I guess if that's what a pig sounds like, you know. And as well as like red eyes peering through shrubs.
I hate that.
Yeah. Like, you know, George Lutz style. Pigman staring at him through the window with red eyes.
A lot of people think it's a demonic entity. I mean, there are people that think that this Pigman, they're seeing that the words. They think that maybe the story is connected to this. Sure, they might be folklore. There might be some truth to them, but they think that these entities they're seeing could just be demonic, and that's why they're seeing them in such a distorted way. So
maybe, I mean, and maybe even if he's not demonic, I'm sure he's not a really good spirit around. You know, there's so much negativity in the way that
I can't imagine he would be great. No, he's very. What are you talking about? Pigman? Me and Pigman go back.
Oh, I love Pigman. Yeah, just like Mothman. Mothman's great. You know, I think so the locals of Angola, they always, you know, they claim the haunting is real, of course, but there are others that believe the story is just a bunch of hogwash. You know, legend and something. I think that maybe something more evil is occurring.
Did you just say hogwash? I hate
hogwash. Hogwash. Tomfoolery. Yeah. Now Fiona Broom looks like the writer for Hollow Hill claims that Pigman might be something kind of like Bigfoot or maybe even Mothman.
Yeah,
so
that's
like
what we were talking about.
Yeah, like a cryptid. And there's, I mean, several trails in Tennessee have had similar legends connected with them. Like hikers claim to have seen a large man with a pig's head on his shoulders, and they make loud noises, piercing red eyes, and the Pigman legend, it pops up all over the U.S. just like Bigfoot does. So maybe we have another cryptid on our hands. But it's why many people think that it's nothing more than folklore, because, you know, no one. It's like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, right, you know.
Pigman.
Yeah. Did I say Pigfoot or pig?
No,
Bigfoot.
You said Bigfoot, but Pigfoot.
Oh, okay. I got scared. I was like, Pigfoot?
Like the love child of Bigfoot and Pigman. Pigfoot.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Bigfoot.
Anything else you need to add on?
Yeah. Well, so there's other, you know, there's an origin story here with the butcher, but there's also another one. I'm sorry, I'll mention it really quick. Robert Pickerton was a Canadian serial killer, which I think is really funny because, I mean, he's Canadian. Come on. It's like a Canadian gangster or something coming out.
Can I kill you, please? May I kill you? Am I allowed to? Is it all right? Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Anyway, yeah, so he was a serial killer who got the name Pigman because he lived on a farm and he would kill women and then feed their corpses to his pigs. And this occurred from 1996 to 2002. This is just kind of a fun little, I mean, not a fun little story, but an interesting one, I guess. But over 40 women were killed. And Pigman never admitted as to what he did with the bodies, but there's forensic evidence that he may have done several different things to cover up his crimes, such as letting bugs eat the bodies before burying them, or letting the pigs eat their remains, and even grinding the flesh of the bodies up with ground pork and selling it to the Canadian public. Yeah.
That's great.
So, he was given a lifetime sentence and claims that he feels sloppy, but get this, not for killing all of those women, not for killing them, but not for killing enough of them. He claimed to kill 49, but he really wanted to kill 50. So his OCD there is going to haunt him for the rest of his life because he only got to kill 49. Right?
They'll never let him out.
I'm saying, imagine telling that to like your parole officer. You know what I'm sorry for?
More.
Not killing 50 of them. So those are my haunted roads. We had Holland Road, or Pigman Road, Callan Road, which is Rich Road, and then Riverdale. Riverdale Road seems like the least pleasant, I think.
Yeah,
my
for
opinion.
sure.
I don't know.
No, I agree. I mean, there's EVPs and stuff. I mean, these haunted highways, there's a lot of them, and a lot of them are connected to the occult. So if you're into Satanism or whatnot, or even just like if you're like a Wiccan, just make sure you're practicing whatever you're practicing correctly and not malpracticing. And that goes for same thing with like all religions. Make sure you're not doing your practicing correctly, so you're not causing harm instead of, causing pleasantness. Like
advice
people
of
are
the
supposed
day.
to do.
If you're practicing Satanism, just practice it correctly.
Yeah, boy, is that a quote. That's gonna go on our t-shirt. Practice your Satan. Well, we told you we had a lot in store for this show. We have 2 more stories to tell you guys, so sit tight. If you have to take a little potty break, go ahead and take your potty break. We got more coming at you on AG.
Sorry, I took so long. Yeah.
No, you're fine. People are here to watch. You know what I mean? So our next story, I actually recommended this story to Jim and Dusty because it's one from my hometown in Jefferson Township, New Jersey. And this is a story like we kind of like in middle school found out about, and later when we went into high school, my track coach was the neighbor of the kid that this happened to and like his family. So this is the story of Tommy Sullivan Jr. From Jefferson Township, New Jersey. And pretty much Tommy Sullivan, right? He's this young kid. He was born Thomas Andrew Sullivan Jr. on December 21st, 1973. He's born to Thomas and Betty Ann Sullivan. They live in a quiet town of Jefferson, and Betty Ann would go on to have another son in 1977, a kid named Brian. So Tommy growing up was always described as like a quiet and loving kid. His neighbors called them like the all-American family. They were just really sweet and cool, and Tommy would later on to like be a Boy Scout. He'd be on the baseball team. He was on the wrestling team. He also, he was the paper delivery boy. I don't know how to phrase it. He was the paper boy. Yeah, that's what it is. Not delivery boy. He's the paper boy. And
I mean, he delivered them, so
yes, paper delivery boy. He was also super Catholic, and he attended Catholic school. His family was like the head of the Catholic Church. Everybody loved seeing them at church. However, because there wasn't a good Catholic school in Jefferson, he had to commute to Sparta, which is just a town over. It's not that far away. But a lot of kids made fun of him. Yes, this is Sparta. He didn't fit in well, and he didn't have a girlfriend. He didn't have a whole lot of friends because he had to commute, and he couldn't like hang out all the time. His mom pretty much dropped him off at school and then came and picked him up all the time. Now, everything was good for Tommy until he reached, I'd say, the 8th grade. Even though he made the wrestling team in the 8th grade and his grades were good, something ended up not being so right with Tommy after Christmas break. So his friends claim that after Christmas break, he had like three friends, and they claim that he started drinking alcohol and acting oddly, which for them like in Catholic 13, school, right? Yeah, they're 13. 14. He was like a big no-no. He had just turned 14 after Christmas break. So he started telling his friends how much he loved Ozzy Osbourne and Slayer. He started wearing eyeliner, all black. And his friends.
This sounds kind of like me in this age, though. I'm not gonna lie.
I was gonna say I did the same thing. I mean, don't look back at my pictures from like 2008, because same. But I did not say this, however, because after he starts talking about all this, he looks his friends dead in the eyes one day in the hallway at Catholic school with a bunch of crosses surrounding them, and he says, "Satan came to me last night in a dream. He had my face, he was carrying a knife, and he told me to preach Satanism to all the other kids, and then he told me to kill everyone in my family." First of all, how you gonna bring that up in a conversation?
He sounds epileptic to me.
Yeah, probably, right? More
Yes.
epilepsy. That's
Yeah.
what the old medicine would say. No, but how are you gonna bring that up? Like, hey, Dusty, how was your Christmas? Good, Tommy, how was your Christmas? Satan came to me in a dream. Like, all right.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I gotta
Okay.
go.
Yeah, sounds good, Tommy.
Okay.
And that's what they do. They're like, you know, Tommy, thank you for telling us. We're gonna go, and they go straight to the principal.
Well,
And
good.
The
I
principal,
mean,
yeah, the principal.
I
is
think
this,
I was just threatened. I don't know.
I may have been threatened by the devil, possibly. They go to Sister Philomena, who is the principal, and she is concerned about this, of course, because who says that? She's also
It's
concerned,
Catholic school
though,
too.
and it's Catholic school, but there's also been serious issues in the area with the occult, including several religious relics had been stolen from the local church, they had been burnt in the woods, chickens had been sacrificed, and their heads had been burnt on pentagrams, and even a teenager had committed suicide in the name of the devil. This is all happening in the lovely town of Jefferson. So, Sister Philomena, she was like, yeah, I'm concerned, but I can't imagine little Tommy Sullivan, doing this, because he did a book report on Satanism last November, and he hated everything about it. So I don't know what kind of book reports they'd be doing up in there, but they have.
Well, yeah, what kind of book was he reading? A book report on
the Book
Satanism.
of Satan, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, the young boy apparently grimaced as he had to tell the class about Satanism, and he even called it a disgusting religion and claimed that the religion was just far too weird and scary for him to ever think about practicing. However,
boy, did he grow up.
Yeah, boy, did he change his mind. Thursday, January 7th, Sister Philomena, this is still, I should mention, Thursday, January 7th, 1988. Sister Philomena called for a parent-teacher conference at the school in which Tommy was present. She expressed that she understood why kids these days were impacted by the devil with all the evil stuff in TV shows, movie, and that music that they listened to. She even exclaimed that when she was a kid, she was heavily impacted by the devil too, especially with the release of the 1973 film The Exorcist. I mean,
I don't know if that movie would make me want to bring the devil in. Like,
me either. I don't
did you
know.
look at that girl when she
peed her pants and then didn't she drink it? No, that was Annalise Michelle.
No, that was Annalise. That was
it was real life.
But her head turned all the way around on her shoulders.
It did, and she threw up green pea soup. Y'all go watch that movie. Tommy assured his principal and parents that he was just joking about Satan coming to him in a dream, and that he
kidding.
would call it
I
with
was
the devil
kidding.
dog. Yeah, but here's the weird part. He said he was kidding, and the adults, they were like, "Okay, we get it."
Kids are being kids.
His mom literally was like, "Oh, you're just a growing boy. I get it." Craziness. So the Sullivans did promise that they would have a serious talk about this with Tommy, and that they would take Tommy and his younger brother Brian to a Satanist seminar that discussed the evils of Satanism and why Satanism is bad.
There was a seminar?
Saturday, there was
I'm
a
sorry,
seminar.
do they do that anymore? Because
I think the seminar was happening. It happened at the high school. It was like really a town meeting because of all the Satanism that was going on.
Oh, okay. It was
yeah.
Satan seminar in high school. That would be all right.
I don't think
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We're just having a regular Satanism seminar. Don't mind us. That Saturday, Tommy's parents sat down with him and decided that all this talk of the devil, as I had mentioned, was just part of growing up. And Tommy assured them again that he was joking and that his talk of the devil had stopped. It was done. No more devil for him.
I don't have a gun.
No, I don't have a knife.
I don't have aliens. Yes, there's no aliens.
Exist. Well, what he didn't tell his parents, his principal, or his friends, that he kept a creepy little notebook in his bedroom. And he called this notebook the Dark Notebook. Also, scribbled on the front, it said the Book of Shadows. And inside
that's a witch
of this,
thing. Sorry, that's a witch thing.
Oh, it is.
That's where,
a Satanism thing. He wrote for his love of Satan, satanic rituals. He wrote like Satanism spells and stuff. He wrote for his love of satanic creatures, and oddly enough, his love of Billy Idol and the Twisted Sisters. As if Billy Idol has anything to do.
Billy Idol made me do it.
The wedding singer, don't mess with Billy Idol. So he drew drawings of women being tortured and burned by fire. More fire.
He drew drawings.
He entitled one drawing of a woman being ripped apart and dragged into a sea of fire, "Come to Satan."
Oh my God.
This is a 14-year-old child. So it is said that Tom Sullivan Sr. always told Betty Ann to back off of Tommy because she constantly hounded him and she didn't give him enough room to grow up. She still coddled him very much. She was on top of what he did. She was like the iron fist of the household, didn't really let the kids get away with anything. Betty Ann apparently had tore all of the Slayer posters off of his walls, gotten rid of all of his makeup and black clothing, and a lot of people think that, of course, with the outcome of this may have been what heightened Tommy's rage. On January 9th, 1988, Betty Ann told the boys and Tom Sr. to get to bed early because they had an early mass the next morning. I can't believe she told her husband to go to sleep.
It's
and they
time.
all agreed. I think she needed like mommy time. Like she was going to pour herself a glass of wine and just like watch TV because she doesn't go to bed. She goes down to the playroom by herself. And all the other boys, they go to sleep. Except for Tommy, of course. At some point, Brian came out of his bedroom to go to the bathroom, and he heard a lot of noise going on in Tommy's room. So he opens Tommy's bedroom door, and he sees Tommy sitting in the dark, staring at his TV, and a copy of Friday the 13th was on his television. And he said, "Oh, you're supposed to be asleep. I'm going to tell Mom if you don't let me watch this with you." And Tommy quietly and very coldly turns around, locks eyes with 10-year-old Brian, and says, "If you don't get out of my room, I will kill you." Brian becomes taken aback and frightened. He's never heard his brother talk like this, and he decides to shut the door and go back to bed. Years later, Brian would mention that he did see there was dark fluid all over Tommy, but he didn't think anything of it at the time.
Dark fluid?
I guess. Dark fluid. Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
We're getting there.
All
so, at about 10 o'clock, Tom Sr. was awoken to the sound of fire alarms. And when he went downstairs, there was a huge fire. It said somebody had lit their couch on fire and like tore a bunch of newspapers and books apart and threw them on the floor. And there's just a big old fire raging in his living room. So he quickly gets
Theme
Brian.
of the night, fire in the house.
Yeah, apparently. He gets Brian. He is extinguishing the fire. He's telling Brian to look for Tommy Jr. and for Betty Ann, but he can't find them. There's so much smoke in the house that Tom Sr. just says, let's get out of here. We're going to go to the neighbors and we're going to call the police. And so they do that. And when the police, come and they search the house, they pretty quickly find Betty Ann's body. They can smell blood and they find her in the playroom. And what follows is pretty gruesome. So excuse my description, but she had been practically decapitated. She had several stab wounds that were on her body. The worst part that made police that had served in Vietnam look away was the fact that her 14-year-old son had tried to gouge her eyeballs out unsuccessfully, chopping them into little pieces. And when he couldn't get the eyeballs out of their sockets, he decided to cut away this flesh from around the eyes like you would to an animal that you were butchering. So she's dead, obviously, from this. The Sullivan's car had been rolled away and it was stuck in the embankment at the neighbor's house. This was the Eastman's house. Fred Eastman, the adult neighbor, and also his son was my track coach years later. Fred Eastman came out to help the police look for Tommy, as Tommy always played with Fred's children. So he looks in the car, and they find in the car some of Tommy's clothes, like a black hoodie of his, an inverted cross, and a pact Tommy had wrote to the devil. So I'm only going to read parts of this because it gets pretty rated R. But it says, "To the greatest demons, I would like to make a solemn exchange with you. If you give me the most extreme of all magical powers, I will kill many Christian followers. Exactly 20 years from this day, I will promise to commit suicide. I will do drugs. I will worship you. I will tell teenagers to do bad stuff." That's the part that we're just going to bleep out there. "I believe that evil will once again rise and conquer the love of God." 14-year-old boy writing this. Keep that in mind.
So is this a Faustian bargain?
Yeah, I would say it is. And it's interesting that you say that, because when I tell you what happens to Tommy, they still to this day don't know how he did it. They don't even know how he did this to his mom. It's crazy. This is and look at that picture of that kid. We'll go back maybe at the end and show you the picture of that kid again. And then imagine him doing all of it. It's just crazy. It doesn't make sense. So anyway, the police, they find a trail of blood that leads to the Eastmans' backyards, and it's by their shed. And lying next to the shed in a shallow grave was Tommy's bloody corpse. Again, this little boy, he's doing all this. It was clear that Tommy was dead and he had bled out. It was also clear that it looked like a suicide, but what wasn't clear was how he did it and why he did it. I mean, besides the whole Satan thing, maybe. He was found in a very similar fashion to his mom. However, his wrists were cut so badly that they were hanging on by a few tendons and snapped back to his forearms. His throat was also cut ear to ear to the point of that his spinal cord was showing. Now, let me ask you this. How did he do this? Did he cut both of his wrists till they snap back to his forearms and then slice his throat down to his spinal cord? Or did he slice his throat down to his spinal cord and then one by one? How did he do this hand? It doesn't make sense. Think about it. Again, 14
I don't
years
want to.
old. It's just, in fact, police officers could not accept that he had done this. And they made the case that there must have been an intruder. There must have been some madman or maybe foul play from the father that was involved, but nothing came out of it. They could not prove anything, and they could not believe that a child was capable of doing something as gruesome as slashing his mother and then doing it to himself too. They don't know how he did it. So
I believe that someone that young is capable of doing it, like emotionally maybe, but I don't think that it would be possible to do what he did.
No. Once your tendons are snapped, you have no use of your hand. Like, and the pain. I think about the amount of pain you must have been in to slice your hands till they snap back to your forearms. They're hanging on by 2 or 3 threads of flesh, dude. That's ridiculous. I don't know. But what I will say is that the police continue to ask students about Tommy, ask neighbors about Tommy, ask his friends, and they were all completely in shock. They said that Tommy had taken like a whole he changed. He was a different person. He went from being a good kid and a good friend to being a devil worshipping Satan person. Yeah. Put that on a t-shirt too. This was their newspaper delivery guy. Think about your postman, like dropping off your mail. All of a sudden,
oh my God, stop
worshiping the devil.
I'm never going to talk to him again.
You're just going to think of Tommy Solden. The only person amongst the community that came forth and told the police that she wasn't surprised was Sister Philomena Fleck. She told the police, "You can't look for a single scapegoat." Yep, scapegoat. Let's try that again. You cannot look for a single scapegoat. The truth is that the devil himself is walking in our hallways the whole time. Any input on that? Yes, they're all the devil. That was mean. Nothing? Well,
no, I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay.
Just go.
We're going to go into our third and final story of the night. This is our local story, and we have a very special guest to tell you about it. Drum roll, please.
Surprise, it's Jim yet again.
Jim!
Who has no stories as bad as that one. That's just,
I think we got enough.
Wow. Talk about the devil made you do it, right? Hopefully tonight's story is going to be a little bit better than that, though. And we're going to get into it.
The fire. Sorry.
We're going to get into it right now. In 1927, they opened the Bridge of Lions, but one person wasn't satisfied with that, a man named August Heckscher. He had decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own development, gets a whole bunch of property, a little strip of land north of St. Augustine, and names it Vilano Beach. Builds a toll road over to it. Previously, this had only been a site that was accessible by either a tram or by a boat. And during Henry Flagler's time, they'd had oyster roast over there. It was a nice bathing beach. Very, very popular. Heckscher goes, the secret to having a successful development is having something for people to do. So the first thing he does is he builds a giant casino right on the beach. A casino now is where the bands played, and you could have dances. He had a saltwater pool outside. He had a freshwater pool inside, and this thing was top-notch. He starts building houses around there, and all of a sudden, a brother and his 2 sisters move into one of the homes. They were called the Spencers. And the Spencers were famous for the parties they threw every weekend. I mean, back then, we talked about alcohol typically in the 20s, but in today's day and age, they'd be holding drug-cessed raves over there as popular as they are. They just loaded it up every weekend. Seemed to have plenty of money. The brother was handsome, good-looking guy around town. Nobody seemed to know where the money came from, but there always seemed to be plenty of it. The girls all wanted to dance with him. His two sisters were very attractive. The young men in town all wanted to dance with them. And every weekend, their house was a rip-roaring party.
Cool.
And you were part of the upper echelon of society if you were invited to the Spencers. This goes on for about a year, and all of a sudden, the brother disappears. When they ask where he's gone to, the sister replied, "Oh, he had business to take care of in Europe. He'll be back. He's gone." 6 months go by. He's still not back. Nobody's seen him. And the next thing you know, the older sister also disappears. Just boop, one weekend. She's gone. And when they asked about her, they said, "Oh, she had to go visit an aunt. She'll be back." And for another 6 months, nobody sees either of the two siblings. And then surprisingly, 6 months later, the house goes quiet. The sister doesn't come into town and invite anybody to any parties. There is nothing going on. Where every weekend from across the bay you could hear the music and the dancing and the loud parties going on, this old house sat gloomy and silent, not a word. And after a couple of weeks, everybody's starting to talk about it. Hey, what's up with the Spencers? We don't know much about them, where they came from, what this story is. There's nothing going on. Maybe we should send somebody by to look. They called the local police department. They sent some officers over there who knocked on the door and got no answer. They forced their way inside, and in the first bedroom, they find the youngest sister dead in bed. Apparently, looked like of natural causes. Nobody knew. They go upstairs. Next room they enter is the older sister's room. Surprise! She is also dead and obviously has been dead for over a year at that point. Her corpse is decayed. And they go down the hall to the brother's room, and when they open it up, there's nothing left but a gooey mess of a skeleton. He's been dead a long time in that old house. And the Spencer's house is so bad that it has to be destroyed. But people still claim that on a quiet night, standing in Davis Shores, you can still hear the music coming from the Spencer's house all the way across the inlet, that they're still having a party. Nobody knows where they came from, who they were, or how they died. The house was bulldozed, yet you can still hear the music. And it's said to be really good luck if you're invited to one of the Spencer's parties.
I would like to be invited to the Spencer's party.
I'll see what I can do about getting you an invitation, Renee.
Thank you.
I think we can conclude that this has been kind of a gross live stream.
Yeah.
I thought mine was really nice.
It was.
Right.
Especially after you guys.
I know.
It was great until you said gooey skeleton.
corpse.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, you can share our videos so that your friends can watch it. You can give us a like on our Facebook page so you can stalk us. Please don't stalk us, actually. I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, you can like our Facebook page so that you know when we're doing a live stream. And yeah, we'd love to have you as our fans, fangirl over us, whatever. We'll see you on Friday when we're going to be talking about more ghoulish stories and sinister haunted happenings. Goodbye.
Come share your stories with us. Thanks, everybody. Good night. Say good night, Dusty.
Good night.
Good night,
Sorry.
Dusty.
Good night. All right.